As I was coming up, they handed me this handheld mic, and I thought, I'm Italian. I need to talk with both of my hands to get a point across. So first of all, I want to say, I love talking about my Equinox story, because truly, it's what's aligned in my soul. And people ask all the time, what do you think the success of Equinox was? And I really believe the success of Equinox was because myself and my two brothers were so passionate. We were in our lanes. And I want to explain something about being in your lane, okay? Each one of us did something completely different for the business. My one brother, Danny, he was all about the investment. He went out, he got all the real estate, he raised the money. That's what he loved to do. And today, he's still doing that same exact thing. My other brother, he was all about the design. He wanted to create the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful aesthetics that you could possibly have. But those of you that know New York well know that you don't have a lot of space. So his genius was being able to take a smaller space and just make it unbelievable functional. And for me, I started in the fitness industry at 14 years old. I used to sneak in to European Health Spa because you had to be 16 to be a member. And I would sneak in and I would take calisthenic classes. They weren't even called aerobics in those days. I'm aging myself. And one day, I got in there, and the teacher didn't show up. So the girl at the desk said, we're going to have to cancel this class. The teacher has a flat. And 14 years old, I said, I'll teach it. And the manager came out. She said, you're not even supposed to be here, Lavinia. You're 14. And I said, no, but I can teach it. I do it in my living room all the time. I teach it to my sisters. And the truth is, I taught the class. And it was amazing. They were like, oh, my God. And whenever they needed a sub, at 14, 15, and 16, I was teaching. So I had that bug. I mean, it was what I was I loved fitness. And that was really the beginning of the journey. And I really believe that, I know a lot of these women here talk tonight about love what you do or do what you love. And I'm saying, love everything you do. Wake up and be that person that's going to be the best version of yourself. Because that's what really an entrepreneur is. It's not about how we solve the problems. It's creating solutions. If you're a person that, like for me, I'm all about creation. Let's create, let's create, let's create. That's what being an entrepreneur is. You have to be able to create and adapt. I live in Malibu. So you could imagine what my last week has been like. We've been evacuated out of Malibu since last Friday. And I literally took a bag that had I don't know why, but it had 10 pairs of socks in it. Because when you're evacuating, you're not really thinking. And when it was time to plan, I was coming in for a lot of events in New York this week. My friends kept saying, Lavinia, it's reasonable that you would cancel. They're going to understand. All those people in New York are going to understand that you have to cancel. And at that moment, I realized I didn't build this business being reasonable. Because if you want to build a business, you have to be really unreasonable with yourself. You have to show up. I always say to my young entrepreneurs that I work with, there's a difference between having a wishful desire and having a burning desire. And what I'm going to say is, you have to have a burning desire to be successful as an entrepreneur. It's not, you have to be, that's what makes you unstoppable. When that desire inside of you, it's just like, you're not thinking about it. It's like, I must. I mean, trust me, when we started Equinox, nobody thought that the gym business was a great investment. We would sit there and people just couldn't understand it. I mean, when we started, 6% of the people actually worked out. So trust me, we had a real big hill to climb to convince people about why they should be working out. what the benefits were. To me, I would say to these guys, you guys, this is preventative medicine. You know, this is going to really change people's lives. They didn't want to hear it. I mean, in the beginning, I mean, we practically, you finance people out there, we had to practically get money from loan sharks because nobody would give us the money. So it was just, for us, it was our passion, our commitment. We were unstoppable. I mean, when somebody would say no, I didn't hear that no. I just moved aside and went to the next person. And you know, when you're in your lane, because I talk to people about really knowing if you're in your lane. How do you know when you're in your lane? You know when you're in your lane when you are going and you're flowing and you're moving and you're grooving and you're out there, you're inspiring people, you're talking to them, you're motivating them, you're getting somewhere, you're always in a forward motion. And at the end of the day, you think, man, I should be so tired. I should be exhausted. There is no reason that you should have the amount of energy that you have. But when you're in your lane and you're in your alignment and it's aligned with the soul purpose of who we are, you have so much energy. You are constantly restored. You're constantly regenerated. You're always ready to go. So what I would say to young entrepreneurs out there is really take some time to find out who you are. Take a little bit of time to connect to that soul, because, you know, we really are soul beings that come in a human form. But we spend so much time being, you know, human doers that we just keep doing. And then we, you know, the society and the media tells us, you know, what it looks like to have it all. And especially for women, I mean, it's pretty specific on what it looks like if we're going to have it all. But what I would say to you is don't think about that. Think about, what do I want for my life? Like really get in touch with that. Like take a little time to just really unplug, you know, to connect to self. Because when you take that time to just be and be in stillness and really understand who you are and what is just non-negotiable in your life, you know, where your values are. You know, we have to create values and we have to create boundaries and we have to really know who we are. Because when we know who we are, we love ourselves. And so much for women, confidence comes from loving yourself. Confidence comes from showing up from yourself. You know, so really take the time to get in touch with who you are, have an open heart. I know so often in business it sounds a little goofy to say to have an open heart, but I believe at Equinox we were a family. And that's what started our culture. And when you have to know what your culture is, people. I had a meeting with a woman 2 days ago and she has an unbelievable brand. She's in every store. She should be doing unbelievably well. She has every box checked that it should be. But the truth of it is, she said, Lavinia, I realized after listening to you on Cheddar, I have no culture. So spend time to get to know who you are. Your culture is going to come from you. Nobody else can create that culture. But if you're always proving your worth, if you always have a mind that has self-doubt in it, your culture is never going to be clear. It's never going to be a clear message because you're always going to be reacting to what the media is saying or what the competition is saying. You're never going to be grounded in who you are. You're just going to be constantly running in two different directions. So take time, know yourself, be in the stillness and the being. And that is where you'll start finding that. And then when you start creating from there, it's really magical. And at this time, I'd like to introduce this amazing panel of women who are going to talk more about entrepreneurship, who really are in their lane. And they have been making this happen for many, many years. So let's bring them on with a big applause.